Hi everyone, my name is Anne. Thanks for joining me on Art on the Creek today. It is officially the holiday season 2023. At least it is for me. We have a lot of traditions in our home and I'm so happy that you've tuned in today. Maybe you're enjoying a cup of coffee with some leftover pumpkin pie after your Thanksgiving feast. That's how I always like to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is with a piece of pumpkin pie and coffee, which means I have to make the pie beforehand. So yeah, this year there was no exception. It was a lot of fun. So what I wanted to do with us today, though, since you've stopped by, is revisit my review of the Sennelier Ink Brush Pens because I have found the iridescent version. I think it's the same color palette, but these have some sparkle. So I thought since it's the holiday season, a lot of you might be wanting to make some greeting cards. This might open up some new ideas for you. But in general, these are really beautiful to paint with. So let's go see what they're like. Before we continue though, please subscribe to Art on the Creek if you haven't done so already by clicking on that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell too so that you'll always know when I launch a new tutorial or a product review. Of course, if you do enjoy content like this, make sure that you give it a like, leave a comment, or share it with your friends. If you'd really like to take your art skills to the next level, I would encourage you to consider a membership with Art on the Creek. When you're a member, or patron of my channel, your membership includes an extensive library of tutorials covering drawings and paintings of a variety of subjects, not just beautiful Colorado, and also in many different art media. You'll have full and unlimited access to an ever-growing members library of tutorials and reviews, as well as the opportunity to receive guided feedback and critique from me. And also, you'll have direct input into which art technique or medium you'd like to learn more about as a member, as well as access to free art supplies. All of that and more is included in your membership, and it's all very conveniently right here on YouTube. There is a link in the description below that will go over all the membership details. But if you still have any questions, just ask me in the comments, and I'll be sure to help you out. Now, let's move on to today's subject, shall we? How many of you are Black Friday shoppers? I am if I can do it online. I'm not one for crowds anymore. I've paid my dues. I've done all that. We used to go stand in line until the stores opened and get caught up in all of that. But that was in the 90s, which seems like the dark ages now. Yeah, that might even have been before we had a cell phone. But anyway, I am really content to shop online. Now, I will put a link up here to my Christmas gift recommendation, my holiday gift recommendations for this year. I did a fairly extensive video. I wanted to make it just 12, but I couldn't. So there are many, many items on there that I'm recommending. Everything is under $50 for those of you who need to be on a budget. Who doesn't? This inflation has been crazy. I cannot believe how much my grocery bill has gone up in 2023. So I've had to be more careful about how I spend my art supply money. And even though I'm giving you affiliate links in the description, I really encourage you to shop wherever you get the best price. Sometimes it might be from a different online retailer, or sometimes it might actually be in a brick and mortar store. If you're lucky enough to have one of those, please shop there. Shop wherever you get your best price. And if you don't need to shop, just use what you have first. It's always best to go with what you've got, go with what you know before you try something new. I know it's really fun to watch videos and then say, oh, I think I'm going to try that. That looks so fun. If you can afford it and if you can do it, great, do it. It's fun. But if you are struggling to make those ends meet, I don't want to be the agent of your financial ruin. So please use what you have on hand before you consider something else. But for those of you interested in these ink brushes, they're really, really cool. Now, I do have another video, like I said, a review where I reviewed this first set, and I will put another link to that up here as well. This is a Hahnemühle, or Hahnemühle, however it's pronounced. I really should look that up. Sorry, I don't know. I made a painting, a real quick painting of a banana. This blue, the way that the blue picks up is just incredible. These work exactly like watercolors. They are so incredibly pigmented, which is why I have a palette, because I want to do some mixing and watering them down. I also did this pine tree. Now, this was not done with the pine bough, rather. This was not done with the glitter pens. This was done with these traditional, the trendy colors here, And for the glitter, I added the Wink of Stella. This is a really neat pen, and it's just clear glitter. It also comes in gold and red and green, I think. And you can hear the little ball bearings in there that prevent it from clogging up. Really neat pen. It's by Kuretake Zig. I've had so much fun with this. So Sennelier probably needs no introduction, but for those of you who aren't familiar with them, they are a French art company that truly makes very high quality art supplies. And in the voiceover, I'll go over a little bit more of the properties behind these inks. But let me just swatch them out. Now, for review, I'm going to go ahead and swatch these out here. So let me set this is the one I want to focus on today, is the Iridescence. But I'm going to combine them and talk about everything. So no worries. I just want to swatch these out here first so that you can see how they play out. So let's just kind of go in a rainbow order here. Now, when you open these, you want to make sure that you're not opening them over your work, because I just put lotion on. Even though this is a really secure packaging, it can splash when you open it. So beware of that. And the cap does not post, for those of you that are into that like I am. I really wish the cap would post. So the ink, what this is a big barrel of ink, and all of this is full of ink here. So you get all of this, and then it flows down into the brush mechanism here, just like a fountain pen. It flows down in there. This is all full of ink. It works very, very well. And all you do is give it a little squeeze, and then you can paint things out. And you can see this red is just a little bit splashy. And they're so concentrated. So I want to catch this before it gets, but look at this. I can just continue to pull this, and that's only half of what I put down. If I went all the way over to the left here, these really have an awful lot of pigment in them, and this particular color is primary red. And then the next one is a lemon yellow. Each set has 6 brush pens in it, the ink brush pens. And in this trendy set, you will be getting the primary red, lemon yellow, yellowish green, cobalt blue hue, burnt umber, and ivory black. And all of these work just like watercolor, however, they are permanent when they're dry. So just as a quick review, those are the traditional ones. They call it the trendy set. Now let's open these up, and I can show you, while this is drying, let me set this aside. I can show you how they're packaged. They come in this little wallet, which is very convenient if that's how you want to keep them. However, I keep them in a jar with my other ink brush pens, just with the filaments pointing up. So that's exactly how I'm going to keep these as well. All right, so let's start off with this red here. I'm going to put a little paper towel down. You can really see the sparkles in there. And we might have to mix it a little bit, because I can see they're kind of conglomerating in the bottom. So there is a ball bearing in here. There's no ball bearing in this one. There's no ball bearing in this one, but there is in this. And that is because that mica, that glitter, can clog things up. So this is just like when you have a spray paint and you need to get it shaken up. So what we do first is we undo this, remove the ring. That's just to keep it separated. And then there's a little pokey part. What do you call that? Like a spigot or a piston? Not a piston, but anyway, there's a thing sticking up. I don't know my parts of fountain pens, but it's that thing. And it goes right into this. It'll puncture it, and then that way the ink can flow down in and get to the bristles, the filament of your brush. So we just take off that collar that protects those and keeps them separate, and we screw it on, and now it's connected. So now we're just going to squeeze, and sometimes it takes a little bit. You can see that it's coming out here. There it is, starting to come out. Get this all coming out into those filaments there. Sometimes I have found that if you get the filaments wet a little bit, that can help it. All right, I think that's doing pretty well. And this is called Iridescent Pink Orange. So it's not really the same as the red here, more of a salmon color, but we'll put that kind of near there. And I can see a goodly amount of sparkle on that. I hope you can pick that up. And you can also see the difference in the tones, but can you see as these are drying how they look so velvety? Now this is not a good comparison. This is a totally different product, but these just have this capability of bouncing that light back to you that just makes these so soft and so incredibly beautiful that I'm very excited to try the iridescent ones too. So that is the red, that's the pink orange, and where's my little cap? Here it is. I will be the first to admit that these are a little bit frustrating to get started just because they do take a bit of pumping. It's kind of like when you have those acrylic markers and you need to pump them like a Posca marker to get them going. These kind of have that same starting hurdle, but once you get them going, they're really great, and they do really let the ink flow nicely. So the colors that you get in the iridescent set are rose, excuse me, I was reading it in French to you, iridescent pink orange, and you also get another lemon yellow, and the green is a little bit cooler. This one is an iridescent green deep, and this time you do have French ultramarine blue, iridescent ultramarine blue they call it, and then an iridescent black, and finally this iridescent silver. This one is really cool because the silver looks like an antique silver. It's just got a nice bit of a mellow tone to it. I really like this one a lot. Now when you are putting these away, make sure that you hear that click of the cap. You want to make sure that this cap stays on because you don't want these to dry out. I have not had that happen, and I cannot tell you what would happen if they're easy to revive or not because I just haven't experienced it. But just like with any of your markers, you want to make sure that those caps are on nice and secure. I think the best description of these is directly from their website, so let me read to you about their inks. Sennelier inks, which are likened to Indian inks, are available in a selection of high-quality colors. Extremely rich, these inks are manufactured with shellac gum, giving to each shade unique brilliance, brightness, and vibration under light. They can be applied with a brush or ink pen and give a satin to brilliant film depending upon the thickness. They dry rapidly and display a high degree of water resistance without being indelible. These inks are highly sought after for calligraphy, quill drawings, washes, for textile creations, and materials research. They can be protected with pencil fixative in order to increase their light stability. These really are a game changer, and they're just so fun to play with. With that in mind, let's paint a nice scene. I have a little bit of a fall leaf over here. This is my last page of this sketchbook. How exciting is that? I think what I'm going to do is tape off the edges. All right, just for fun, we've got that taped off. Now this is a size A6, so this is obviously going to be incredibly small. But let's just kind of play with this. Let's do something just real simple. I think if we go with this cobalt blue to start the shadows on our snowman, that would be really nice. Now, instead of just painting directly on the paper, what I'm going to do is put some over here. And I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit. There we are. There's the cobalt blue. And that's from the trendy set. So first things first, let's go ahead and get our snowman painted. Now I'm using a number 2 Princeton Neptune round, and I'm just going to add some water to this because I want it very, very subtle. There we are, and I'm just pretending our light source is over from this direction coming down. So let's put the shadows on our snowman on this side over here. There we go, just kind of filling it in, and I'm really just kind of just using my imagination here. Nothing fancy, just showing you that this is really so easy for you to do. We're just going to draw the left side of him because we'll make it a night sky and everything will fill in. Our brains will be able to fill in the space that we don't have painted. This is the iridescent one. This is, they call it ultramarine blue. So I'll put a little bit of that over here. And you can see when you squeeze it, they do splash a little bit. So you do want to be pretty cognizant of your work and where you're working. But yeah, you can really see the iridescence in that. These inks are all blendable, they're water soluble, they are permanent when they're dry, and they're pigment-based ink. So that for me is an awful lot of fun because that means that whatever pigments are used, you're going to have that degree of light fastness as well. So let's go ahead and fill in some of our glitter snow shadows here. And I'm going to go into this red just a touch. See if I can get a glittery purple going. Now that red is a little bit warm. Let's see what that looks like when it's mixed with the purple. I'm sorry, mixed with the ultramarine, and it really does look nice. So let's fill in some of that as the shadow of our little snowman. I'm going to add some of that other blue with it because I think that's a little too pinky purple. There we go. Now let's go ahead and give him some arms. I think I'm going to use the brown that was over here. That's this one. And it is the burnt umber from the trendy set. So our snowman needs some arms. We'll put one right about here. And one over here. There we are. And let's see, he needs some coal eyes, and I think this black, the glitter black would look really nice with that. Now that, there's a little too much paint on here, so I've got a dry brush here, and I'm just going to sop it up. And the way that we do that is you just get your brush wet, blot it off on a paper towel, and then use that thirsty brush to just lift off any excess watercolor or ink in this case, whatever it is that you've put down that maybe you got a little too much. So now I'm going to shake this one up. This is the iridescence here. I'm going to shake it up. And I'm going to give him some coal eyes. Now I'm just doing little tiny dots. There we go. Let's go down a bit because I want to give him a scarf too. There, very tiny dots. That black one comes out really nice. That's the one thing that I would say is also a little bit inconsistent about these is you don't really have a lot of control over how these are going to flow. So once they get going though, they kind of all even out. It's just right at first, they're just a little bit wonky. And that could be because these have sat on a shelf for a while. I don't really know. All right, since I'm a Colorado girl, he needs a cowboy hat, and since it's Christmas, he's going to get a green glittery cowboy hat. I'm going to squeeze some of this over here in my palette. There we go. That's a good amount. And I'm going to use my brush to paint that on. So here we go. We're going to come down this way. And it's going to come up and have a little M. Cowboy hats are really pretty easy to do. There we go. And I'm only going to fill the color in on the left side because what I want to do is to come back in with a wet brush and just spread this pigment around. It has an awful lot of staying power. Do the back of the hat here. And that way you can kind of get your highlights in and have a gradient of color so it looks really nice. So already you can see how your eye is filling in these right side curves of our snowman. But what we want to do is we want to make that really, really obvious. So I'm going to make a very dark night sky, and the way that I want to do that is I'm going to mix this silver over here. It's kind of an antique silver. It's nice and dark. I'll mix that with the blue and a little bit of the red. There we are. So we'll take our brush and we'll mix that up and see what that looks like. I think I need a little bit more blue in there. It's a little too orangey purple right now. Kind of thinking of a little bit of a moon glow shade. I might bring in just a touch of this green to get that together. There we go. That's perfect. Look at that nice dark glittery sky we can create. All right, now this has an awful lot of glitter in it, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and paint our night sky. The glitter or iridescence that's in this is really, it's nice. It's plentiful, yet it's subtle, and it stays adhered to the paper. We're just going to negative paint around our snowman. And hopefully I can do this without touching the cowboy hat. I did a little bit there. There we go. Keep this moving as much as I can. I really like how these pigments are kind of separating in here. It's kind of a bonus feature. When I painted with these before, I really didn't mix them that much. And I wanted to give you guys a full demonstration of what these can do. And boy, this is an absolute blast. I really love mixing these. As close to that brown as I can. I think I can touch it because it is completely dry. There we go. Come in here just a little. That looks like a nice winter sky. Now what I want to do, let's drop in some water. We'll get some cauliflower blooms happening. We're going to establish a little bit of a night sky behind him. Kind of ended up making that cut in his little snowball too big. Sorry, guy. There, that's better. Okay, this is awesome. When you drop the water in, the pigments separate and really go into their individual colors. This performs, if you're familiar with Daniel Smith Moon Glow, that really performs very similarly. Let's see here. What else does he need? He needs to dry, but before he does that, I want to make sure and add some more of this silver. Is this it? Yes. I want to drop some of this in. Just as, there we go, little extra dots of glitter here. That's fun. All right. Oh my gosh, friends, he needs a nose. He needs a nose. Let's just do this, give him a little glittery nose there. Very tiny, very sweet. And one more thing, he could use a scarf, don't you think? I think I need to have this dry before I do his little scarf here. Let me see what's going on with this. Although in something like this, these backgrounds can really be pretty. Okay, now he needs a scarf. Let's just very delicately add some red on here. There, and we'll spread that around and see what we can come up with. Got a wet brush that I've dried off. And we're just going to pull this down a bit. And this way, and this way. A little bit of fringe for him. And then we need to add a little shadow there, and I think I'm going to do that with the cobalt blue. Just going to go under it just a little bit here, and about where the knot would be. Punch up the shadows on all of these. And for this, I'm just using the cobalt blue, the regular, from the Trendy set. You do not have a lot of open working time with these at all. Once they are dry, they are set, they are permanent. Little shadow for his hat. There we go. Now our little snowman is finished. Let's go ahead and dry him off. And we'll take the tape off. No matter what you're using, no matter what kind of tape, I always recommend heating it up. I have had papers and tape that I've relied on many, many times before just really ruin a piece because it's lifted the paper off when I was in too much of a hurry to get out my heat tool and heat it up. So that is my biggest advice to you, that and pulling it off at a 90-degree angle. Just pull it off away from the center of your art. And there we have it. Oh my goodness. This is so incredibly fun. I'm going to sign my name to this here. Always recommend signing your work, no matter where you are, what you're doing. Because that will give you a great bound, ready to reread memory of where you were when you were working on all these things. Look at this glitter. Look how fun that is. You can get a lot of dimensionality in these paints. I love how this separated into a beautiful winter sky. And this is just a simple little snowman. You could do so much with these. I think these are an awful lot of fun and really something that if you're looking for something special to give to someone, the Sennelier Ink Brush Pens really are pretty cool. as long as you use them carefully and go with a few precautions. Cover your workspace, all that kind of stuff. You might want to make sure that you're not wearing any clothes that are too damagey, that you don't want to get damaged. Let me try one more thing. This is 100% cotton paper. Let's try it on some mixed media paper. This is Bamboo by Hahnemühle, and I really like this paper. Let's see, we'll go ahead and use this one. I got some other stuff on the back of that one. I have a picture here that I drew of some pistachios because that is another type of tradition in our house. Mixed nuts. We have always had mixed nuts at the holidays. What are some of the traditions that you have? Let me know in the comments. Talk about what some of your favorite Christmas memories or traditions are. When I was growing up, these pistachios were actually bright red. And of course, we all eat a lot of pistachios now, and it's just kind of shocking to think that they used to be red. But they were, and they made your fingers bright red. They kind of stained them. I don't know why they thought that red would be a good color for that, but that's what I grew up with, was red pistachios. So if you're old enough to remember red pistachios, let me know in the comments, because maybe there's a support group for us somewhere. I'm going to just do the little pistachio skins here in this part, and then before it gets too dry, I want to come in with a brush, because remember, as soon as these dry, they are permanent. So let me pull this out here, and that way we can get some nice natural gradients and shading going. Because as these pieces we put down, as they've dried, they will naturally leave that, the brush lines there. I'm going to put some of that brown over here because, there we go. I want to go ahead and use now the red that's not iridescent and mix with just a little bit of that brown. And let's give some dimension to this pistachio here. There we go. Come down here a little bit. I'm going to mix some of that green in there. There we go. That'll really darken that up. And it's okay if it's glittery. You can buy the Sennelier inks as bottled inks if that's something that appeals to you more than this type of situation. I just really like the convenience of the brush pen, and I think these are just a lot of fun to work with. All right, now I'm going to use this other green from the Trendy set. That's a good pistachio color if you ask me. And let's get this pistachio painted here on the inside. I was looking up close at a pistachio when I drew this, and I had no idea that pistachios actually looked the way that they look. So this was a bit of a interesting discovery painting for me. Now I'll use that darker green, even though it's got the glitter, and we'll just add some definition onto our pistachio. You know, I've got this sped up, but if you'd like a full-time tutorial on how to paint these pistachios or any other mixed nuts, let me know. I'm happy to do that for you. In fact, if you'd like to mention in the comments what your favorite food to eat at Christmas time is, and maybe you'd like to paint that, let me know and I can make you a tutorial for that as well. I think we'd all enjoy that. There are so many different foods and cultures that celebrate a joyous occasion this time of year, that there are a lot of foods that go with those traditions. For me, since I'm Italian, we have a tradition of pizzelles in our family. And we've also got a big tradition of fudge. My grandmother made the most incredible fudge, and I was so excited. My cousin and I finally got together and figured it out last year. I actually got it right. Some of the ingredients have been reformulated and changed, and those of you that like to spend time in the kitchen know how frustrating that can be when you're dealing with a recipe that's over 100 years old. But we can do it together, and that's one of the things that just brings so much joy over the holidays. So if you've got something you really want to paint this month, let me know in the comments. And once I found the right width of fine liner that I wanted to achieve the look that I needed here, I would go ahead and put some lines around this to make it kind of a line and wash. And that worked very well also with these inks. So just about any method that you want to use that you're normally used to using with watercolor. You can use wet on wet, wet on damp, wet on dry. You could probably put salt on these. I didn't try that, but I bet it would work because everything else has just performed so beautifully. The splattering, the cauliflower blooms, the layering, these are so wonderful to use. Oh, that is fun, you guys. But how fun is that? Some pistachios, a little snowman, nice little glittery fun for Christmas or New Year's or whatever holiday you're celebrating right now. When this dries, that's going to be really cool. I'm going to resist. I'm going to try and let this dry naturally, and then I'll have a final photo for you guys. But those are the Sennelier ink pens and the iridescent ink pens. Here's the iridescent ones. Let's pull these up here. Yeah, there's 6 of each. We've got 6 iridescent and 6 trendy. So these are a lot of fun. Might make somebody's stocking a little more merry this year. Take care, you guys. I hope you have fun painting this week. We'll see you next time. My friends, I hope you really enjoyed this review and demonstration of the Sennelier Ink Brush Pens, and maybe it will encourage you, if you're a watercolor artist, to maybe branch out into a different medium that's an awful lot like watercolor. But look at that luminescence, look at that white light shining back at you through these beautiful inks. It works on all kinds of paper. I just have so much fun with these. In fact, 2024, I might be spending a lot more time with ink. Don't worry, I'll stick with watercolor too. Thanks again, guys, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so. If you enjoy content like this, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, or share it with your friends. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye now.